The story begins in a quiet, sunlit suburb where life moves at an easy, predictable pace. It's the kind of place where neighbors know each other by name, children play freely in the streets, and nothing extraordinary ever seems to happen. The opening scene deliberately lulls the reader into a sense of comfort, painting a picture of an idyllic, almost nostalgic small-town America. Liam Carter, a bright-eyed 12-year-old with a mop of tousled brown hair, is the focal point of this ordinary morning. He's energetic and carefree, the kind of boy who races his bike down familiar streets without a second thought. His mother, Mrs. Carter, watches him from the porch with a half-smile, calling out a reminder to be back by lunchtime. There's nothing unusual about this moment, just a mother and son in their daily rhythm, the kind of mundane interaction that happens a million times over in towns just like this one. The neighborhood itself is alive with harmless activity. A dog barks lazily in the distance. A few doors down, Mr. Thompson, an elderly retiree who always waves at passers-by, putters around his garden. A group of kids laugh as they chase each other through a sprinkler. The scene is warm, vivid, and, most importantly, safe. But beneath this normalcy, there's a subtle foreshadowing. Maybe it's the way the sunlight glints almost too brightly off Liam's bike, creating an odd, dream-like shimmer. Maybe it's the way the camera, if this were a film, lingers just a second too long on the old oak tree at the end of the street, its gnarled branches casting long, finger-like shadows. Or maybe it's the faintest whisper of wind that rustles the leaves just as Liam pedals away, a whisper that sounds almost like a voice. This scene is crucial because it establishes the before, the last moment of innocence before everything changes. The ordinariness of the setting makes the coming horror all the more unsettling. When Liam vanishes, the audience won't just be shocked, they'll be haunted by the memory of how normal everything seemed. It's the calm before the storm, the breath before the scream. And by grounding the story in such a relatable, almost mundane opening, the disappearance that follows feels all the more impossible, all the more terrifying. Because if a boy can vanish in broad daylight in a place like this, then nowhere is truly safe. The park is drowsy under the midday sun, the kind of place where time feels slow and syrupy. Bees hum lazily around clover patches, and the air carries the faint scent of freshly cut grass. Liam skids his bike to a stop near the old oak tree, the same one he's passed 1,000 times before, because his shoelace has come undone. He crouches down, fingers fumbling with the knot, completely unaware that this is the last ordinary thing he'll ever do. Across the street, Mr. Thompson pauses while watering his roses. He's a man of routine, the neighborhood's unofficial watchman, always noticing the comings and goings of the block. He lifts a hand in a friendly wave, and Liam grins back before ducking his head again to fix his shoe. Mr. Thompson turns for just a second, maybe to adjust the hose, maybe to swat at a fly. But when he looks back, Liam is gone. Not running away, not hiding. Gone. The bike is still there, leaning against the tree, as if waiting for its rider to return. The shoelace lies loose on the pavement, as though Liam's fingers had simply dissolved mid-motion. There's no sound, no shout, no scuffle, no crack of lightning or ripple in the air. Just silence, thick and sudden, as if the world itself is holding its breath. Mr. Thompson blinks, confused. He steps forward, calls Liam's name, then louder, then running toward the tree, heart hammering. Because this isn't right. Kids don't just disappear. Not like this. Not in the middle of a sunlit afternoon with witnesses and birds singing and everything so damn normal. But the truth is undeniable. Liam Carter has vanished without a trace. This moment is the story's first true fracture. the point where the ordinary cracks open to reveal something incomprehensible. The horror doesn't come from darkness or shadows, but from the sheer wrongness of it happening in plain sight. The witness, Mr. Thompson, isn't some unreliable stranger. He's a trusted neighbor, which makes the disappearance even more chilling. There's no struggle, no warning, just a boy, here 1 second and erased the next. The idea that safety is an illusion, that the world might snatch someone away without reason or mercy. And because there's no obvious villain, no snarling monster or lurking kidnapper, the terror is formless, a void where answers should be. By the time Mr. Thompson starts shouting for help, the reader already knows, whatever took Liam, it's something beyond understanding, and that's far scarier than any conventional threat. The first hour is confusion. The second is panic. By the third, the entire neighborhood has become a living nightmare. Mrs. Carter's voice cuts through the afternoon air, sharp with a mother's instinctive dread. She calls Liam's name over and over, pacing the sidewalk, her sandals slapping against pavement still warm from the sun. At first, she tells herself there's a logical explanation. Maybe he rode to a friend's house without telling her. Maybe he's hiding in the bushes to scare her. But when Mr. Thompson, pale and shaking, describes what he saw, or rather what he didn't see, her stomach drops like a stone. Sirens wail in the distance. The police arrive, their radios crackling with static as they fan out across the park. Officers kneel by the oak tree, examining the bike, the untied shoelace, the dirt beneath the branches. They find nothing, no scuff marks, no signs of a struggle, not even a single footprint out of place. It's as if the earth itself refused to acknowledge Liam had ever stood there. Neighbors spill from their houses, drawn by the commotion. They form search parties, flashlights cutting through the gathering dusk even though it's only mid-afternoon, as if they're already afraid of the dark to come. They call Liam's name into backyards and storm drains, behind hedges and under porches, their voices growing hoarse with desperation. Children are pulled inside, doors locked tight, as parents exchange uneasy glances. At the police station, detectives replay security footage from nearby stores. The cameras show Liam riding past the mini-mart at 11:47 a.m. They show Mr. Thompson tending his garden. They show the empty stretch of sidewalk where Liam should have been. But the moment he vanishes is nothing but a blur of sunlight, a flicker of pixels, as if the tape itself couldn't bear to record what happened. By nightfall, the search has expanded to the woods at the edge of town. Bloodhounds sniff Liam's pajamas from that morning, their noses pressed to the fabric before bounding into the trees. But within minutes, the dogs stop dead in their tracks, whining, tails tucked between their legs. They refuse to go further, as if some unseen barrier hangs in the air, thick with warning. Back at the Carter home, Emily clutches her brother's favorite action figure, her small face pressed against the window. She doesn't understand why everyone's crying. Liam promised he'd teach her how to ride a bike without training wheels next week. He wouldn't just leave. Would he? The more effort is poured into finding Liam, the clearer it becomes that he isn't just lost. He's been erased. The dog's refusal to track him adds a layer of primal unease, suggesting something beyond human comprehension interfered. Meanwhile, the security footage's glitch mirrors the community's own cognitive dissonance. How do you search for someone who left no trail? The real horror here isn't just Liam's disappearance, it's the dawning realization that the rules of the world aren't as solid as they seemed. And as flashlights sweep the woods, casting long shadows that twist into familiar shapes, was that a boy's silhouette? The audience is left wondering, what if they're not just searching for Liam, but trying to outrun whatever took him? The days stretch into weeks, and the search for Liam Carter takes on a feverish, almost obsessive quality. The police have no leads, the volunteers are exhausted, and the town's initial urgency has hardened into a grim acceptance. Something terrible has happened, something beyond their understanding. But just as the case threatens to go cold, strange details begin to surface, fragments of the inexplicable that refuse to fit into any logical explanation. The first clue is discovered by a teenager named Jess, who had been Liam's classmate. She visits the oak tree where he vanished, not out of any real hope, but because it feels like the only place left to look. Running her fingers along the rough bark, she feels an unnatural groove. Etched into the trunk is a symbol, a series of interlocking circles and jagged lines, too precise to be accidental, yet unlike anything she's ever seen. It isn't graffiti. The edges are smooth, as if carved by something far sharper than a pocket knife, and the wood beneath is oddly darkened, like a burn that never quite healed. When she shows it to the police, even the most skeptical detective falls silent. No one recognizes it. No one can explain it. Then there's the homeless man who camps near the train tracks. He's a fixture in town, harmless but ignored, the kind of person people look through rather than at. But when a detective finally thinks to question him, his account sends a chill down their spines. He claims he saw a flash that day, not like lightning or a camera, but a ripple in the air, as if the sunlight itself had fractured for just a second. And before it vanished, he swears he heard a sound, a high-pitched hum that made his teeth ache. The officers exchange glances. They write it off as the ramblings of a man who's spent too long in the sun. But later, when they check the audio recordings from nearby security cameras, there's a faint distortion at the exact time Liam disappeared, a frequency just beyond normal hearing, like the echo of something unnatural. Most unsettling of all is the psychic. She isn't local, just a woman passing through who stops at the diner and overhears the chatter about the missing boy. She asks to see Liam's photograph, and when the waitress hands her a flyer, her face goes pale. She doesn't offer the usual vague platitudes, "No, he's in a better place," or "I sense water." Instead, she grips the table and says, in a voice barely above a whisper, "He's still here, but not the way you think." Then she leaves without another word, refusing to elaborate even when the Carters beg her to. This scene is where the story shifts from a simple mystery into something far more unsettling. Each clue is a breadcrumb leading not toward answers, but deeper into the unknown. The symbol on the tree suggests intention, something marked Liam, claimed him. The homeless man's account implies a rupture in the fabric of the world itself, and the psychic's words hang in the air like a curse, forcing everyone to consider the unbearable, that Liam might not be lost, but changed. These clues don't bring comfort. They strip away the illusion that the universe operates by rules people can understand. The town's desperation for answers is met only with deeper questions, and as whispers of cults, government experiments, and otherworldly abductions spread, the real horror settles in, the fear that some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. And in the quiet moments when the search parties have gone home and the cameras are turned off, the oak tree's shadow stretches just a little farther than it should, as if something beneath the bark is still watching. The house on Willow Lane no longer feels like a home. It has become a shrine to absence, every corner heavy with the weight of a missing presence. The Carters move through the rooms like ghosts themselves, their grief a living thing that breathes in the spaces where laughter used to be. Mr. Carter, once a man who prided himself on logic and routine, now spends his nights hunched over the kitchen table, surrounded by maps and police reports, scribbled with frantic annotations. Red yarn crisscrosses the walls, connecting newspaper clippings to grainy surveillance stills in a web of obsession. He has called private investigators, psychics, even a retired FBI specialist in missing persons, anyone who might offer a sliver of hope. His hands shake when he replays the voicemail Liam left that morning. Just a mundane, "Hey Mom, can we have pancakes for dinner?" Now the most precious sound in the world. Sleep is a stranger to him. When he does drift off, he dreams of the oak tree, its branches twisting into skeletal fingers that reach for him. Mrs. Carter exists in a quieter agony. She washes Liam's favorite mug every morning, sets it back on the shelf, then breaks down when she remembers no one will use it. She lingers outside his bedroom door, afraid to enter yet unable to stay away. The scent of his shampoo still lingers on his pillow, and sometimes, in the dead of night, she swears she hears the creak of his bed springs, as if he's just turned over in his sleep. The rational part of her knows it's the house settling. The rest of her whispers, what if it's him? What if he's trying to come back? Then there's Emily, Liam's little sister, who doesn't cry like her parents, but instead draws endless pictures of her brother, always with a black scribble around him, like smoke or a shadow. When asked about it, she shrugs and says, "That's where he is now." At night, she talks to someone in her room, her voice a hushed giggle, as if sharing a secret. When her parents press her, she says simply, "Liam visits me. He says he's not lost. He's just different." The pediatrician calls it a coping mechanism, but the way Emily's eyes fix on empty corners of the room makes even the doctor uneasy. The town watches the Carters with a mix of pity and guilt. Neighbors leave casseroles on the porch but avoid direct eye contact, as if grief is contagious. Some whisper that the family is cursed. Others wonder if they're being punished. The Carters don't care. They're past shame, past pride, past anything but the raw, gnawing need to know what happened to their son. This scene isn't about the mystery of Liam's disappearance. It's about the wreckage left in its wake. The Carters' suffering is visceral, a slow unraveling of sanity and certainty. Mr. Carter's obsession, Mrs. Carter's fragile hope, Emily's eerie calm. They're all facets of the same unbearable truth. You can mourn the dead, but how do you mourn someone who might still be out there? Emily's interactions with an invisible Liam are the scene's most haunting element. Is it a child's imagination, or something far stranger? The line between denial and the supernatural blurs, leaving the audience and the Carters to wonder, is she pretending, or is she the only one who can still see him? By the scene's end, the family is no closer to answers, but the real horror has crystallized. Sometimes, not knowing is worse than knowing, and the question hangs thick in the air. How long before they stop being a family waiting for Liam to return, and start being a family he left behind? 5 years pass like a slow bleed. The posters fade, the news stories dwindle, and the town learns to breathe again, though the air still carries the metallic taste of something unresolved. The oak tree in the park becomes an unofficial memorial, its trunk now studded with weather-worn ribbons and toy cars left by children who never knew Liam but whisper about him like a cautionary tale. Then, on an ordinary Tuesday in October, the impossible happens. A hiker named Daniel Mercer is trekking through Black Ridge Forest, 50 miles north of town, when he stumbles upon a backpack half buried in leaf litter. It's caked in mud, the fabric brittle with age, yet when he brushes it off, the insignia of Liam's elementary school is still visible beneath the grime. His blood runs cold. Everyone knows that story, the boy who vanished into thin air. With trembling hands, he unzips the main compartment, half expecting, "What?" bones? A ransom note? What he finds is worse in its own way. Inside is Liam's lunchbox, the Superman logo still bright against dented metal. A library copy of The Hobbit, its pages warped but legible, and a single sheet of notebook paper, folded neatly, the edges crisp as if placed there yesterday. The message is written in blue ballpoint, the handwriting unmistakably a child's. I'm still here, but I can't come back. Daniel's breath comes in short, panicked bursts. He flips the paper over, searching for more, a date, an explanation. But there's nothing, just those 7 words, innocuous, yet devastating. The ink hasn't faded. The paper hasn't yellowed. It's as if time stopped for this note the moment it was written. When the police recover the backpack, forensics confirm the impossible. The fingerprints are Liam's. The lunchbox contains remnants of a peanut butter sandwich preserved beyond natural decay. And the note? The handwriting matches Liam's schoolwork perfectly. But the paper shows no signs of aging, and the ink analysis yields something even more disturbing. It was written recently. This scene shatters any remaining pretense of a conventional disappearance. The backpack's condition defies logic. How could it spend years in the elements yet show minimal decay? Why was it found 50 miles away when every search party combed those woods years prior? And most chillingly, if Liam wrote that note recently, where or when is he? The discovery doesn't bring closure, it amplifies the horror. The Carters are thrust back into the nightmare, now tormented by new questions. Is Liam trapped in some liminal space? Is the note a message from the past or a warning from the future? The town's old fears resurface, laced with fresh paranoia. Parents check on sleeping children more often. Hikers avoid Black Ridge. And at the park, the oak tree's shadow seems to grow longer at dusk, stretching toward the road like an invitation or a threat. As the camera pulls back from the evidence table where the backpack lies, one detail lingers, the faintest smudge on the note's edge, as if someone or something had gripped it with soil-stained fingers before letting go. Time does not heal this wound. It only scabs over, fragile and prone to reopening. Years blur together, and the world moves on, except for the Carters, who remain suspended in a limbo of grief and unanswered questions. The town no longer speaks Liam's name in hushed tones. It has become a footnote in local lore, a ghost story told to wide-eyed children around campfires. But in the quiet hours, when the wind stills and the streetlights flicker, something restless lingers. The oak tree still stands in the park, though the town council has debated cutting it down more than once. Each time, strange things happen. Tools go missing, workers report sudden chills, and once, a perfectly clear photograph of the tree inexplicably develops with a blurred figure standing at its base. No one can agree if it's a trick of the light or something more. Teenagers dare each other to touch the trunk at midnight, and those who do come away with the same story. The bark feels unnaturally warm, like skin, and if you press your ear against it, you can hear something faint and rhythmic. A heartbeat. Breathing. No one stays long enough to be sure. Mrs. Carter moves away eventually, unable to bear the weight of the memories. Mr. Carter stays, though he is a hollowed-out version of himself, jumping at every phone call, every knock at the door. Emily, now a teenager, claims she no longer hears her brother's voice. But sometimes, when she's alone, she still turns her head as if responding to someone only she can see. Then, on the 10-year anniversary of Liam's disappearance, a jogger swears she sees a boy matching his description sitting beneath the oak tree at dawn. She blinks, and he's gone, but the grass where he sat is flattened in the shape of a cross-legged child, the blades frosted with dew except for that one dry, perfect outline. When she reports it, the police don't even file a report. They've learned some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. The story ends where it began, in broad daylight, under a sun that offers no answers. The camera lingers on the empty park, the rustling leaves, the quiet street where a bike once lay abandoned. And just before the screen fades to black, there's a whisper, so soft it might be the wind, that sounds exactly like a boy's laughter. This final scene isn't about resolution. It's about the haunting permanence of the unknown. The oak tree becomes a living monument to the unexplainable, a place where the boundary between worlds wears thin. The jogger's sighting suggests Liam exists somewhere, maybe not here, maybe not now, but somewhere, trapped in the liminal space between vanished and vanished for good. By refusing to provide answers, the story lingers like a ghost in the audience's mind. It asks uncomfortable questions. Is it crueler to believe Liam is gone forever, or to wonder if he's still out there, just beyond reach? And most chilling of all, if he ever does come back, will he still be the boy who left, or something else entirely? The screen goes dark, the credits roll, but the unease remains, because true terror isn't in the monster you see, it's in the one you never do. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next one. Bye for now.